Good evening, folks. How are we doing? Are you all right? It's Wednesday night. I'm just having a little look on my Twitter feed, seeing what's going on in the world. Any exciting news that's happening in the Act on This community? Warren's here straight away. Great to see you, Warren. For those who haven't got a clue who I am, by the way, and they don't know what the Act on This community is, it's a website that I run for actors. The web address is www.actonthis.tv. Good evening, Miranda, Kim, saw Miss Gypsy join. And it's a great site for actors that I run here in the UK, and I do interviews, podcasts. Lucinda, Lucy, good to see you. I do podcasts and live video broadcasts, and now TV style interviews with some of the greatest minds in the acting industry. Good evening, Miranda, and I'm just looking at a trailer that I put out earlier today for an interview I did with a top casting director here in the UK. Anna, good evening, called Michael Jackson. Unfortunately, his name is Michael Jackson, but it's not the Michael Jackson, not the king of pop, more the king of casting. And his interview goes live on the website on Friday evening. Tony and I are planning on making you go viral in the US. Yes, Miss Gypsy, let's go viral in the US. Viral in a good way, for good reasons, not for bad. Good evening, Tony. He is here. Hi, Ross. So glad to be back here. Missed it low, says Anna. Anna, great to have you back. Sophie's here. Great to see you. I love it. I absolutely love it. We've got a bloody awesome group of people on here. Let me show you a little bit of Michael's interview. This is coming out on Friday. Michael is a top casting director at a place called Beverly Keogh Casting in Manchester. Tony and Miss Gypsy, you won't know Beverly Keogh Casting in Manchester because you guys are in the States, but I don't know what the equivalent is. The equivalent would be whoever's casting primetime dramas wherever you are. Patrick's here as well. Good evening, Patrick. But yeah, this is available on Friday morning, 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. actually, UK time. It's going to go out, but it's super honest interview. This is the trailer. You can watch this on my Twitter now if you go to the Act on This TV Twitter account. That was me asking Michael how the hell you get onto one of the wish lists of casting directors and producers in this country. Look forward to watching it. Looks great. That would be Claire Simon casting in Chicago. Exactly. Well, Claire, if you're watching, Tony, man, what's stopping you going, Claire? You can do the US Act on This. Do it. All of my family is in the UK, says Miss Gypsy. Oh well, there you go. They'll know if they're actors, they'll know the UK industry. If they don't, they still won't have a clue who he is. Patrick says honest. Yeah, he is honest. Harsh but honest. Michael is. That was what I wanted. I've known Michael years, so I can ask him questions that other people might be afraid to ask in the acting industry, and I ask him a few things that other people might go, shit, I don't know if I should ask that, but I've known him a long time, good friend of mine, so he's all right. Sam's here, Jen's here as well. Anyway, that's Friday. Tonight, more importantly, is Wednesday night. Kim's looking forward to the interview. Thanks, Kim. Definitely check it out Friday. It's book club, guys. So we do a book club on a Wednesday night, every Wednesday night, 10 p.m. UK time. Is it 5 p.m, Tony, where you guys are in Chicago? Something like that, your time. But I go twice a week, once on a Monday, once on a Wednesday. Monday we did motivation and mind hacks. Biohacking we did on Monday night, which is interesting. The foods we can eat to raise serotonin and dopamine levels in our brain to make us feel better. It's literally biohacking. Jen's attempting to catch this as I walk home. Well, hopefully your 4G signal is going to be good enough, Jen, and you'll be all right. But yeah, Wednesday we do a book club. It's 4 p.m. where Tony is. It was 5 p.m. before daylight saving. Okay, all right. I thought you'd mentioned 5 p.m. before. I was going to do for the book club for this week and next week, guys, this book, which I highly recommend. It's called Ego is the Enemy, and it's by a guy called Ryan Holiday. He's absolutely brilliant. He's a super successful entrepreneur, businessman, speaker, author, and had a shed load of success in his 20s. Literally by 25, the guy was like the marketing manager of the entire American Apparel group. Now I know they kind of went down the pan after a while, but it wasn't Ryan's fault. He was he worked in a top talent agency in Hollywood. He used to sign rock bands, associated with a lot of massive names. And he's written a book called Ego is the Enemy, which is an awesome book about getting in your own way, in terms of your ego, in how we always have to feel better than other people sometimes, or particularly in the acting industry, you've always got to feel more talented than someone else, or there's a lot of actors out there who just think they're better than everybody else, and this is the thing that stops them from actually having any success, because it's cliche, but there is a fine line, isn't there, between that confidence and this arrogance, and ego is the thing that kind of is there to protect us, make us feel worthy and significant and worthwhile, yet at the same time it can completely destroy us. And Ryan's book, Ego is the Enemy, is an awesome book, but when I was reading it today, it's too in-depth for a book club, guys. It would be a mega in-depth, like hour-and-a-half long book club if we were going to do a chapter of this. So I think it's better if you guys get that and read it on your own in chunks. We're going to look at a slightly simpler book tonight, but with an equally important message by another top bloke I've been meaning to introduce to you for ages, a guy called Preston Smiles. Anna says she thinks everyone is better than her. Anna, that's nonsense. We need to stop that. I have a blog coming out tomorrow, says Tony. I missed the other bit, Tony. What's that on? Is that on something to do with ego? Let us know and we'll help spread the word. Preston Smiles, who's ever heard of him? He's got a massive YouTube channel. He used to be an actor. He's a bit of a bad boy turned inspirational messenger. Preston Smiles, an awesome YouTube channel. Does a lot of great work inspiring people to be the best versions of themselves. Does a lot of stuff for charity, Pencils of Promise, builds schools abroad with Pencils of Promise, that kind of stuff. And Tony's thing is about getting out of his own way. Well, post it in the Facebook group, Tony. Facebook.com/groups/ActOnThisTV, and we'll check that out. But yeah, Preston wrote this book, Love Louder. It's 33 ways to amplify your life. And I want to read you 2 ways tonight and then 2 ways next week to amplify your life. This will be a bit of a reminder for you. This is stuff that, we've covered before, but who likes it when you've covered something quite a while ago and then you think you know it, but then when you read something about it again or you hear it on a podcast again, you're like, shit, I knew there was something I should be remembering in my life. And it's like, it gives you that jolt. I don't think you can only be told something once and get the most out of it. Tony says, loves hearing topics again. It is, because if anything, there's a few things it does for you. It reminds you of stuff you might have forgotten. It reaffirms what you've remembered. And if anything, it kind of just keeps you present, focusing on that thing you need to focus on. Yes, reminders, says Patrick. So tonight we're looking at 2 chapters. These are super short chapters. But they've got a great meaning behind them, and these really, well, they relate to anybody, actor or not, but particularly actors right now. I've seen a few people actually push their boundaries this week where they haven't before, and that's been great to see. Still see a lot of people, not you guys, just people in general, holding back, still holding back. And the one thing that, well, you might resonate with this, the older that I get, the less, do you know what, the less I give a shit, ultimately. It's like, I don't mean the less I kind of care about what I want out of my life, but the less I care of offending people, the less I care about ringing people, emailing people, and ultimately asking for stuff. Whereas earlier in my life, I wouldn't say boo to a goose. I'd be like, oh, I can't ring them and ask them for that, because what if they say, oh, well, if I'm embarrassed, or I guess get it wrong, or I don't ask in the right way, Tony says, amen. Had a job interview today about directing a play. Nice one, Gary. Good on you. Settled in for the night and ready for a long overdue Rossonori sesh, says Sam. Very true, says Patrick. Yeah, the older I get, honestly, I'm going to be 34 in 2 weeks. The things that used to intimidate the shit out of me in my 20s, my mid-20s even, maybe even late 20s, I just don't care about anymore. Honestly, I'm like, in my acting career, if it's like, well, if it means ringing an agent or ringing a casting director or sending an email to someone who previously I would have been intimidated by, the older I get, I just think, what's the point? What have I got to lose? And the title of the chapter I want to read you tonight is Get Off the Fence and Jump. Someone get Ross a coffee and cake for me for his birthday. Yes, Tony, yes. I love it. 9th of September, my birthday. So yeah, this chapter is chapter 17. It's called Get Off the Fence and Jump, Go Hard or Go Home. Go hard or go home is a bit of an overused phrase, but I think we need to remind ourselves of it, okay? So it starts like this. It says, all of the best fruit is out there on the skinny branches. Youngster at 34, says Miss Gypsy. Thank you, Miss Gypsy. I'll take that. But yeah, all of the best fruit is out there on the skinny branches, okay? Those who go big, risking it all, open themselves up to the possibility of gaining it all. Okay, those who sit on the sidelines commenting on those who are risking it all, which is what most people do, innit? They sit there saying, oh, wouldn't do that, oh, that's a risk, innit? And then they don't want them to even win. And then when they do, they feel shit about themselves. Or if they don't, they go, there you go, I can feel better about myself. But the person sitting here doing nothing doesn't win either way. This guy out here has at least a 50-50 chance of winning. Or more, depending on the situation you're in. So yeah, those who sit on the sidelines commenting on those who are risking it all are destined to live a life of what ifs. How many times in your life have you got what ifs? I have definitely got what ifs from earlier in my life. Do you want me to tell you about the biggest what if I've got? This is one of the biggest what ifs that I've got. That's why I have nothing in common with my work colleague, says Patrick, because Patrick, you probably want to risk it. Let me tell you about one of my biggest what ifs in the acting industry, something that changed the way I looked at auditions forever, right? I was a kid. Picture this, 14-year-old Ross, okay? For those in America, you won't know these shows, right? But in the UK, when we were kids, there was a big show on TV for kids called, on Children's ITV, the channel was ITV, and it was called Children's Ward. Give me some hearts if you remember Children's Ward. What if it causes anxiety? What, this story? This story won't cause you anxiety, Miss Gypsy. I mean, all the hearts are coming through, right? So everyone remembers Children's Ward. It was about kids in a hospital, those in America, right? And they, it would be very kind of, you would know what was going on. It'd be like, oh, this week on Children's Ward, oh, the scouts go to a bonfire, and you knew the bonfire was going to blow up and half of the scout troop were going to end up in hospital. But it was you know, it was like a good hospital drama, but for kids. Weird. Now I had an audition for Children's Ward, right? I was 14. I used to love it because I'd get the day off school, or at least the afternoon off school. And I went to Granada TV that we have over here, which is now ITV, and I did my audition for Children's Ward. And it started off the full day there. There was 35 kids there, and we were going for 2 parts. At the end of the day, at 5 o'clock, there was 4 of us left. 2 lots of 2s. So we were like paired up. There was like 2 characters together. One was like the kind of like the lead guy. The other one was like the funny sidekick. And they had 2 pairs. So it was either going to be me and this guy, or this other guy and this other guy. Now, my brother's friend at the time had been working in a hotel, a really posh, plush hotel in Manchester. Kim says it was like Children's Casualty. Yeah, it was. And he was working in this hotel, and he got into a chat one night at the bar with the producer. He's like, oh, what are you doing? She went, oh, I'm producing this film at the moment. We're looking for 14 to 16-year-old lads who can play football to star in this film. And he was like, oh, my brother's brother. Not my brother's brother, my friend's brother. He's 14 and he's an actor. You know, he might be suitable for it. Now, I didn't have an agent or anything at the time. This producer organised directly with my brother's friend to get me in for like a private, like personal audition with her on a day when the auditions weren't taking place. But it was on the same day as Children's Ward's auditions, right? Now, in my head, like an idiot, I was like, oh, well, I'm at this Children's Ward audition. I'm supposed to go to this football audition afterwards, but it's running behind. I'm practically certain, because I'm overconfident, that I've got the part, because there's only 4 of us left. I've got a 50-50 shot of getting it. So I'm not going to go to this other audition. Besides, the woman said to my brother's friend, oh, this is a film that's going to go straight to VHS, it's going to go straight to video. So I was like, well, it's not even going to be a cinema release or anything like that, forget it. And at the time it was called There's Only One Jimmy McGregor. That was the name of the film. There's Only One Jimmy McGregor, this little footballing kid. So I didn't go to the audition, and I wasn't bothered about the what if, because I thought, well, I've definitely got Children's Ward, not a problem. I'm just going to nail that. No problem. All the girls at school are going to love me. I'm going to be on the telly. Ching ching. Okay. Turns out, didn't get the part, did I? Didn't get the part. Then, about 2 years later, I'm in work now, 16 years old, and I'm listening to the radio, going in my dull, horrendous day job that I hated, and there's an interview with really famous British actor, Ewan McGregor. There's quite a few other people in it. Ricky Tomlinson was in it. Quite a few other people were in this interview, and they're like, what are you talking about, guys? Oh, this brand new film, British film. It's going to break box office for British film. It's directed by the guy who did the Full Monty. It's called There's Only One Jimmy Grimble. I went, oh shit. That sounds really familiar. I thought it was called There's Only One Jimmy McGregor. Turns out this script was so good, they made the film, found this boy, didn't go on to be straight to video, went straight to the bloody cinema and was a massive box office hit. People from there went on to do the Mike Bassett films and, you know, loads and loads of big cinema stuff. Dickhead here had a private call with this producer, didn't he, that he could have gone in for, could have got that role. Who knows what would have happened? That became my biggest what if. What if I'd have gone to that audition? Would I have been working in that shithole, listening to the radio the day that interview came on? Since then, I have never, ever turned an audition down if it was something that I thought even remotely sounded like it was going to be good. So it was a good lesson for me. But that was my what if. You've probably got similar what if moments, but my advice for anybody would be, if you can make it and you want to do it, you think it sounds like a fun project, that would have been a fun project even if it had gone to video. You know, it's me playing football and getting paid for it. Just go. Just go. Don't think, oh, it's not going to be anything, because the thing that isn't anything today could be something really big tomorrow, and it was for me, and I was like, oh shit, missed out there, didn't I? But anyway, so yeah, those who avoid risking it all live a life of what ifs. If you didn't end up at that shit job, would you have ever gotten into personal development though? Well, Tony, I mean, that's another way to look at it. You can't connect the dots moving forward, can you? You can only connect them looking back. No, I don't think I would. I don't think I would have been so pissed off with my own life about a decade ago that I probably would have looked for more. I wouldn't have got to the point where I was going, surely there's more than this. So maybe it was meant to be, you know. There's definitely a lot of things in our lives that we can label as tragedies that really were just massive gifts when you reframe it and you relabel it, and that's ultimately it. You know, every event is neutral in our lives until you put a meaning on it and you choose what meaning you put on it, whether it's negative or whether it's positive. You know, it's completely up to you. Your negativity bias naturally, scientifically in your brain will want to lean towards the negative. It's up to you to choose to push towards the positive. Those pain points often lead to comebacks if we take action big time. What if you'd got it? You might not have been here doing this scope. Honestly, guys, I might not have been in your lives. You might not have been in my life. And I'm very grateful for you. So yeah, you know, it worked out all right, didn't it? But it was still a what if moment for many years for me, of going, oh, maybe, you know, what if I'd have gone for that? So that's when we don't go all in. I didn't. I held back. I went, no, I'm going to play it safe. I was so overconfident as well. Such an arrogant twat. Maybe a bit harsh on myself. I was only 14, but I just thought I was a dog's bollocks, I think, and just went, yeah, I've definitely got this part. Didn't get it. And the worst thing was, my friend in the same class as me at school got a different part in it. I was so jealous. So jealous. You might have got famous and become an idiot, not the sane, modest person you are today. Exactly, Sam. Exactly. Every cloud. Could have been a millionaire. But I'm going to be anyway. Don't worry about it. We all are going to be. So yeah, it says, so Preston, anyway, back to the book. It says, loving louder is about risking louder. Okay? When we want to turn the volume up on our lives, we have to know that there is great risk that comes with the territory. My greatest fear, this is his, my greatest fear is leaving this life knowing that I had more gas in the tank. Give me some hearts if that's one of your fears as well. When I pass away, I want to know that I left it all out on the field. Did you hear that, guys? Ross is going to make us all millionaires. Yeah, totally. One up, all up. If I can, I'll help you out. So yeah, he says, when I pass away, I want to know that I left it all out on the field. Failing, falling, laughing, loving, crying, and everything in between. If we never take the risk, we'll never know what we're capable of. We all have dreams. We all have something that's calling our name, beckoning us forward. Loving louder is about recognizing that voice and acting on it. Act on this. Even Preston's in on it. It's about giving up the safety of the herd. This is the important bit. And pushing into the unknown zone where dreams can become a reality. A lot of actors stay in the herd. They just fucking stay. Surround themselves with all the other people who aren't doing very well to make themselves feel better about not doing very well. We don't, because we've got a lovely mastermind group here of people who, you know, are pushing forward. But be careful of that. Get out of the herd. Name a person who's accomplished something great and you'll find a trail of risk along their personal path to greatness. Do you think Martin Luther King Jr. was afraid? Wasn't afraid? Do you suppose that JFK, Mother Teresa, Gandhi and Nelson Mandela weren't scared about how their message would be received? These were people who heard the call, felt the fear and moved forward regardless. They weren't afraid to turn the volume up on their lives so they could ultimately turn the volume up on their love. When you're going after anything worthwhile in life, know that you're going to eventually fall, look stupid and make mistakes. It's part of the process of achieving. If you're not failing, you're probably not stretching yourself. The hearts are smashing through now. The comfort zone is a place where dreams go to die and where vitality goes to die with it. Can you risk more than what you think is safe? Can you care more than you think is wise? Dream more than what you think is practical and expect more than you think is possible. Padre says exactly, have the mindset to go boldly when no one else would. Put yourself out there. What imprisons you also points to your freedom. This is great, says Tony Rossi, with exclamation marks because he's so very polite. Not exclamation marks, asterisks, where the swear words would be. Put yourself out there. What imprisons you also points to your freedom. Do that thing you've been afraid of, and you will open up yourself to that feeling of freedom. No matter how it turns out, when you truly risk, you build a muscle inside that helps you reach a little further next time. I feel like we're about to quote Star Trek, to boldly go, says Sam. This is your moment. Own it. If you're gonna fall forward going after your dreams. The destination will always change, but the person you become on the way is priceless. Reminds me of something Jim Carrey said, which is great in his speech that he did at that university, a very famous address that he did. I can't remember which university it was at, but he said, look guys, you know, you can fail at what you don't love. You can fail at what you don't want in your life. So you might as well fail trying to get what you do want. Excellently said, great advice, says Miss Gypsy. Well, the Love Louder challenge. So he does a challenge at the end of each chapter. So this is the challenge for you, and then we're going to read one more short chapter which relates to the chapter we've just read. So he says, what's the one thing you've been afraid to do or say for years? Don't die wondering what if. Do it now. Take one action towards that thing right now. For those in the UK, I know it's late and you might be in bed. Try and do something, make a note of something. Make the call, write the first page of that script. Send the email to that person, tell her you love her, and so forth. And he says, do it now, seriously. So there will be something that's probably you've been dragging your heels on. Maybe for years, maybe just for months, maybe this week, maybe just all day. But do it. Do something towards it. Start that momentum up. We say all the time, in every interview I ever do with people in the acting industry, the thing that always comes up is taking that first step is the hardest. Starting is the most difficult thing. Once you get that momentum, it's so much easier. Fine, I'll do it. I love you guys, says Tony. We love you too, Tony. It's feelings mutual. All the love going over the Atlantic and back is crazy. But yeah, I want to read just one chapter that breaks into this now, because this is one thing that I don't think actors do enough of, but I don't think people in life do enough of, and it feeds into what we've just said about going all in. Warren says, I thought you'd never say it, Tony. So this is chapter 12, so we're going back 5 chapters, but I want to read this one to you, and this is titled Ask and It Is Given. Okay, it says the art of asking for help, and I think it's something that as human beings not many people are very good at. People just aren't very good, particularly in the UK anyway. We have a bit of a, I'll duct tape it all together myself, and I don't need to ask for help. God, my dad was one of the most stubborn sods I ever knew when it came to asking for directions. I remember once when we were going on holiday in a place called Newquay over here. It's right down the south of England for you guys in the States, and it's great for surfing. It's like a seaside resort. And I honestly remember we got to Newquay, and we was way before sat-navs. This is like 20 years ago. So you have like your map out, My dad's driving really fast, expecting us to be able to follow the map and stuff, and he's going, what did that sign say? And I'm going, well, it's like 50 yards back now, because you just drove past it at 70 miles an hour. And we, rather than just stop and ask someone for directions, we knew we must have been always within about 5 minutes of the hotel from wherever we were driving around. We drove around for an hour and a half because my dad couldn't let go of his pride to pull the car over to the side of the road and say, excuse me, do you know where such and such a hotel is? He's like, no. Oh, he was like a Scottish guy, like proper big Scotsman, like, oh, I'll find it, I don't need any help. That was my attempt at his accent. But yeah, we don't ask for help enough. And I think if you're going to go all in and you're going to go after what you really want and take those risks, then it makes loads of sense to ask for help along the way as well, because then you're going to feel more empowered to take even greater risks. If you know potentially, you've at least got somebody who's got your back, or someone who's going to help you. If you're dangling over the side of a building, they'll at least hold your feet, and you got more chance of survival. So it says, because we live in a world that rewards the do-it-yourself, self-sufficient mentality, the idea of asking for help can be challenging at the least. Kim says her dad's like that as well. But turning up the volume on your life requires mastering the art of asking for help. I used to view asking for help as a sign of weakness, but the truth was, I was really afraid of being rejected and looking bad. That's probably my old man, exactly how he felt. And the accent was terrible, says Kim. Thanks, Kim. I was really afraid of being rejected and looking bad. Meanwhile, year after year, my career, relationships, and life remained the same. Things were changing, but I wasn't growing. It wasn't until I pushed past my fear and began asking others for help that my life began to take off. This has happened in my business over the last year, asking for help. I used to try and do everything on my own. Wasn't growing. The business was changing, wasn't growing. Now it is, because I'm getting other people involved. I now know that it takes a massive amount of courage and vulnerability to ask for help, and that no matter what you desire on the planet, it involves people. We can't escape asking for support, and contrary to the bootstrapping do-it-yourself mentality being propagated around the world, we never ever do anything without the help of others. You just don't. You can't go through life without the help of others. The clothes you've got on your back ultimately were made by somebody else. They helped you. The person who put them in the bag at the shop you bought them from helped you. You ask people for help on a daily basis unconsciously, but when we have to consciously ask for it, we find it very difficult. I can do Scottish very well, Kim. If I ever need it, please be my vocal coach. Kim is Scottish, so yeah, you will know my Scottish accent wasn't very good there, Kim. So he says, it's okay not to know everything. Instead of rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic, we as leaders have to recognise that if we don't ask for help, our ship will sink. The key for us is to seek support from those who have accessed something we'd like to experience more of in our lives. That is the key. Look for people who have got what you want. That's the beautiful thing about books. Rather than going out and spending 40 years learning something and getting it wrong yourself, buy a book written by somebody who's got and has achieved what you want, and learn in a day. If you sit and just nail that book in a day, what's taken them 40 years to learn? Books are like phenomenal. That's why we do a book club. The key for us is to seek support from those who have accessed something we'd like to experience more of in our own lives. In order to experience more joy and confidence, talk to, hang with, and ask for help from someone who is exhibiting those attributes on a consistent basis. If you'd like to make more money, ask someone who has demonstrated those skills consistently for support. You'll be surprised at how many people will not only be willing to, but will go the extra mile to help you. Tony, I missed your comment, buddy. It faded out before I could read it. Write it again if it was important. We all have a tribe of people who would love to be a shoulder to cry on, provide a warm hug, or impart a little advice. All you have to do is ask. And that feeds in, guys, to our innate need for significance in our life. When people ask us for help, we feel significant because we feel elevated, like, oh, well, I'm in a position to give this person help because they've asked for it. It's actually quite nice to be asked for help. As long as, the only time it annoys me when people ask me for help is if it comes from a lazy place. It's like, oh, how do I do this? And it's like, well, I don't know how to do that. You just know I'll go and Google it and then tell you. You Google it first for yourself. I wish more people read books like this daily. It's been a game changer for me. As for me, all of these, literally, like I say, the way that I saw a lovely illustration somebody had done of books, and it was almost like, the analogy was every book you read, once you've read it, you effectively get to stand on it and you become taller through the knowledge contained in it. So if you read 10 books, you might become this taller. If you read 100 books, you can stand taller than a house. If you read 1,000 and so on, until literally, the analogy was like, you can reach for the stars and hang with the moon. Standing on the wisdom and the knowledge in those books. But yeah, most people write books in their 40s and 50s based on what they have learned their entire life. If you're in your 20s now, 30s, 40s, whatever age, doesn't matter, you can get 40, 50, 5, 6, 7 decades worth of information in a day. If you read it 2 days in a week, if you read slowly or whatever, it's a game changer if you just have the discipline to open it up and start reading it. And reading those first few pages is the hardest thing, but I promise you, when you get into a good book, you'll want to keep coming back. It's no longer difficult to read if you think, you've got a limiting belief about I'm not a good reader. Clever analogy, I get it, I like it, although it does remind me of the Yellow Pages ad. It's exactly the same as the Yellow Pages ad. The little boy has to get the Yellow Pages out to kiss the girl because he's not tall enough. Couldn't write my memoir till in my 40s. Yeah, exactly. People just haven't, some people, it annoys me when you get little pop stars at like 18, 19 releasing an autobiography, and I'm like, well, you've probably not really lived that much to do it. And that's why they're full of pictures. But people who have really lived, and have had failure after failure before success, is fascinating. So yeah, we all have a tribe of people who would love to be a shoulder to cry on, provide a warm hug, or impart a little advice. All you have to do is ask. Here are the 3 things you can do before asking for help. So these are the 3 things I want you to do before you then go and put everything on the line like we just talked about, and you get off the fence and you go all in, and you go hard or go home. So 1, admit that you need help first of all. Okay, this is big because it often involves swallowing your pride, like my dad couldn't do with the directions, and admitting that you aren't Superman or Superwoman, okay, after all. 2, identify specifically what help you need. The more detailed and clear you are, the easier it will be to help you. So if you say like, I need help making more money, not clear enough. If you say, okay, I need help, to earn an extra $30 a week, then you go, okay, well that's very clear. Let's break that down into a day. Okay, so over 7 days, you'd need roughly $3 a day. No, you wouldn't. $4 a day. 4 point something dollars a day. I did go to school. My maths isn't great at this time of night. But yeah, so then you can be super specific. Going, right, I need to earn an extra $4 a day. That's really specific. People can help you with that. So 3, identify who is skilled in that area. Okay, make a list of people you know, and this is super interesting and exciting for me. Those you don't know as well. For example, authors, bloggers, business owners, couples, etc., etc. Make sure you don't ask people who are not skilled in the area you want to be skilled at. For example, don't ask someone who's been single for years about how to create more passion in your relationship. They're not going to get that. But the thing that's exciting for me is I've reached out. When I read books like this, people like Preston, everybody these days, they're on social media. And what is the one thing we love hearing more than anything else? About us, isn't it? And about ourselves. So when you read and you get impacted positively by somebody's book that they've written, I always reach out on Twitter and go, hey, listen, just reach out to one of this, something, great, awesome, really enjoyed it, great interview, heard this podcast, blah, blah, blah. And if you keep doing that, and you don't ask outright straight away, you keep adding value to their lives by promoting their content, by telling other people about it, spreading the word. There's people that I've met and become friends with, exchanged a whole series of emails with to get help on something in my business or my career that I never knew. And on the face of it, you'd be like, well, why? That person's way further on than me. Why would they spend time helping me? But if you approach it in the right way, and you pick your list of people and go, well, these are the guys who real inspirations to me, and then you start adding value and bringing value to their lives. When you ask for help, they'll give it you, promise you. Love using Twitter for this very reason, says Sam. Honestly, it's so powerful. It's the social media network I focus on the most, without a doubt. I don't know, for some reason, if it's just, I feel it's the best medium for actors. I think in each industry they have a particular platform. You know, if it's modeling and stuff, maybe Instagram, because it's picture related. Fashion's very big on Instagram, but acting is huge within Twitter, the Twitter sphere, from my experience anyway. So it's the one platform I focus on more than any of the others. But yeah, reach out to people, make that list of people who, you know, have what you want, and then figure out how you can add even the tiniest bit of value to their lives, their business, you know, anything that you can bring them that's positive. And then when you ask for help, they're going to be so much more likely to give it. Yes, can't believe it when an actor is not on Twitter. There's only a couple, yeah, there's a few on, but there's so many, you know, so many, you know, famous and not famous, you know, I think it's just a great community in general. And I just love the, you know, the way it senses everybody in terms of how much you can write. You've got to be so specific. I quite enjoy it when I write a tweet and it's way over the character limit and I'm there and it might take me 5 minutes, but I'm like, right, oh, what words can I lose? How can I do this? It makes me get very concise, which is a real skill in life when you can articulate what you want very precisely. Compliment them without sounding like a stalker, says Sam. Yeah, definitely do that. So yeah, 1, admit you need help. 2, identify specifically what help you need. 3, identify who is skilled in that area. And then yeah, that leads into the chapter we first read about jumping off the fence, going hard and going home. You know, once you've decided you're going to go hard, it's inevitable you're going to need help. So don't expect to do everything on your own. Reach out, ask for it, and help each other. That's what's great about the Facebook group. If you're not part of the Facebook group and you're an actor, come and join. Facebook.com/groups/ActOnThisTV. We're up there now. We're nearly at 2,500 actors in there, I think. It's growing quite quickly every single day, which is great. So that's it for this week's book club. Give us some hearts if you've enjoyed Preston's messages. Preston Smiles, check him out on Instagram, just at Preston Smiles. I think Preston's on Twitter as well, but he's got a great YouTube channel. All the hearts are flying through. He just does a lot of videos. His answer to everything is love. He says whatever the question, love is the answer. And I think, you know, without it being not soppy love, as in romantic, but I think ultimately, you know, if you can love more, you can live more. Bit of a cliche in it, but it's true. It's so true. Cliches, you know, guys, are cliches for a bloody reason, aren't they? Because they're so true, ultimately. And yeah, if you are asking yourself a question sometimes, and you're like, what's the answer? Preston will always say the answer is love. Do what love would do. What would you do? I'd do what love would do, he says. But he's an interesting character. Does a lot of good. His girlfriend, him and his girlfriend, his wife now, I think they got married, kind of work together as a bit of a duo. So interesting dynamic there. But yeah, check it out if you want to learn more. Love Louder. If you're watching the replay, click the link below this and you'll be able to go straight through to amazon.co.uk to buy it. Those in the States, you have to go to amazon.com, sort yourselves out with all your dollars, only work in pounds. But yeah, it's a good book, so check it out. So that's it for Scopes for this week, guys. I hope you've enjoyed that. Mondays was an interesting one. I hope you're eating more walnuts, more apricots, having more coffee, more dark chocolate in your life, more clams particularly. They're going to be raising serotonin levels and dopamine levels. Hopefully you're going to be feeling better, livelier. It's going to stave off the stress hormone cortisol, which we don't want in our lives. I haven't watched that Scope yet, says Jen. Well, the replay just went up on actonthis.tv today, Jen, so you can go and check it out and you can get the slides as well. Did pomegranate and walnuts, did them yesterday, ran out that night, and bottom. I don't know if I read that right, but yeah, you trying them, good on you. Yeah, pomegranates I've not had in years. I want to get some pomegranates, definitely. But yeah, it's just interesting, isn't it? Ultimately, everything in your body's chemical driven. And thanks for watching, Warren. You can hack those chemicals. You can hack your body to produce more or less of those chemicals. Less of the chemicals you don't want, more of the chemicals you do want. Because yeah, emotion, when you break it down scientifically, you know, even feelings of love, when you break them down scientifically, are generally a flood of the chemical oxytocin. And if you can produce more of that, you'll feel more loved. If you can produce more dopamine and more serotonin, you'll feel happier and more stable, and you know, you won't have mood swings and you won't feel depressed. Sometimes it's not magic. it's science. That's what I love about it. So go and check out that scope. It's on actonthis.tv. You'll see at the top of the page on the right hand side, it'll say this week on Periscope, and you'll see one. I think it's called 6 foods that are scientifically proven to axe audition anxiety. So I've related it to the acting industry, but it applies to everyone in life. If you're a human being, it applies to you as well. So thanks guys. Look out for Michael's interview on Friday. Act on This TV episode 3 will be available 8 AM on actonthis.tv UK time. So yeah, check that out. I'm going to release a 5 to Thrive, brand new episode of 5 to Thrive, the podcast I do, the weekly personal change, personal development podcast that I do for actors on iTunes. Search for Act on This TV, all one word, on iTunes, and you'll find it. There's 16 or 17 episodes so far on there. And there's a brand new one every Friday, so if you subscribe to that as well, you get it for free, straight through to your iPhone or iPad or whatever you use with iTunes. So cheers guys, appreciate you all. Thanks ever so much. Cheers Lucy, thanks for watching tonight. If you're watching the replay, appreciate you for sticking around this long. It's been a good 40 minutes with us tonight, but I hope that's served you well. Appreciate you all. Get out there, love louder, you know, as Preston says. What's the answer? Love is the answer. Thanks all, have a great night. Oh yeah, for you guys in America, you've still got half your day left. Yeah. Well, you get out there, you ask for help, and then you commit. You go all in, go hard or go home. Awesome. Until next time, guys, enjoy your rest of the week. I'll speak up. I can't even speak. Literally losing my mind. I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.